These are forces from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Their targets were the India-bound Epaminondas and the MSC Francesca, both of which were boarded and seized. A third ship, the Euphoria, was fired upon until it finally halted. If you look at the timestamps, these maritime hijackings didn't happen in a vacuum. They took place just hours after a major diplomatic announcement from Washington. U.S. President Donald Trump had just announced an indefinite extension of a temporary ceasefire. In a direct appeal, he urged the Iranian government to use reason and common sense to secure a prosperous future through a new agreement. Which raises an immediate question: why would a nation respond to an explicit public offer of peace by sending armed teams to assault global shipping? For Tehran, there is no breakdown in communication here. The violent seizure of these cargo ships serves as their direct reply. To understand that message, we have to look at the baseline reality of the region right now. While the U.S. is offering a ceasefire on paper, it is actively enforcing a crippling economic and naval blockade against Iran in the water. The U.S. strategy relies on a heavy, sustained military threat. American naval warships are currently patrolling the region with active orders to shoot and kill anyone suspected of laying maritime mines. Alongside that massive physical presence, the White House floated a diplomatic opening, a highly compressed 36 to 72-hour window for a new round of talks. The strategy is straightforward. By tightening the economic vice and projecting overwhelming military force, the U.S. aims to compel Iranian leadership to approach the negotiating table from a position of severe weakness. But from Tehran's perspective, a verbal ceasefire offer carries very little weight when the domestic economy remains choked by an active military siege. This map highlights the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Iran utilizes this specific geography as its strategic counterweight to the U.S. Navy. The IRGC considers any disruption in this strait as an absolute red line. They enforce that doctrine physically. Iran intercepted the Epaminondas, citing specific maritime violations and tampering with navigation systems, all while officially banking their first proceeds from Hormuz transit tolls, despite the U.S. blockade. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian explicitly tied this physical enforcement to the diplomatic situation, condemning the U.S. ceasefire offer as hypocritical. He argued that military sieges and threats represent bad faith and block genuine negotiation. The logic matches the U.S. strategy step for step. If the American military uses its naval dominance to suffocate the Iranian economy, Iran feels compelled to prove it can violently choke global trade in return. Both sides are trying to equalize the leverage. The immediate fallout of these seizures is a stalled diplomatic calendar. Tehran is deliberately delaying any final decision on participating in the upcoming mediated discussions. This standoff is an exercise in pre-negotiation leverage. Neither party will sit down until they've maximized their physical and economic threats against the other. The Epaminondas hijacking makes complete sense in this context, serving as a calculated opening volley for those impending negotiations. In this specific geopolitical conflict, the pathway to a diplomatic agreement doesn't begin with handshakes in a conference room. It begins with fast boats and rifles in the Strait of Hormuz.